Welcome to the Angus Report, the week's top Angus stories broadcast on the web by the American Angus Association. I'm Bob Cervera. The American Angus Association and Angus Genetics Incorporated continue to expand their offering of genomic enhanced EPDs, the cattle industry's latest and most accurate genetic selection tools. As AGI President Bill Bowman reports, the latest selection tools allow Angus farmers and ranchers to make even more accurate genetic improvements regardless of herd size.
Breeders today can look at their EPDs and know that the carcass evaluation, the carcass traits, now incorporate the data of both the Igenity Angus profile as well as the Pfizer HD 50K profile. Both of those pieces of information now are used to generate EPDs for carcass weight, marbling, ribeye, and fat. Likewise, both companies have data impacting the RADG genetic evaluation, residual average daily gain, so those numbers as well incorporate both the genomic profiles as well as the individual feed intake data, giving Angus breeders a real opportunity to make selection decisions that are going to improve the feed efficiency of their Angus cattle. And then finally, the growth traits, kind of our standard birth weight, weaning weight, yearling weight, and milk, now has the impact of the Igenity profile for Angus as well in that evaluation. So all of these enhancements, again, kind of pioneering steps in genetic evaluation that allow Angus breeders the most powerful and most current information available to make their genetic decisions.
AGI continues to work toward utilizing genomic data in additional EPDs to benefit members and their commercial customers. The association's National Cattle Evaluation EPDs are released every Friday. Visit our website to learn more. Within any given month, profits may fluctuate between $200 to $300 on the most and least profitable lots of cattle. Recent data on more than 400,000 steers fed and harvested across 6 years show higher grading cattle return higher premiums. According to people who've studied the numbers, feeding long enough to reach adequate finish generates more profit.
What we found was that number one, which makes sense, the better gaining cattle typically are the most profitable cattle. But one thing that we found that was maybe a little unexpected is that the better grading cattle were also the better gaining cattle and the most profitable cattle. So we also often think of trade-offs between carcass performance and feedlot performance, that you have to have one or the other. But what we really saw was that we saw the best grading cattle in the upper profitable group, just as well as we saw them the best feeding performance. Overall, if you're feeding cattle, and don't be afraid of a few discounts in the, say, like yield grade 4s and 5s for some heavies, because it's when you feed the cattle to a little bit extra weight, those cattle that'll put that extra gain on, and you need to take advantage of that gain. Then you also take them to where they'll reach that grading potential, and you're going to end up in the top end of the profitability.
Visit cabpartners.com to learn how to achieve optimal feeding performance, grade, and profit. And finally, in today's fast-paced world, it's easy for consumers to lose sight of who supplies their food. Certified Angus beef is working to put a face behind those packages in the meat case and put consumers back in touch with local Angus ranchers.
More than ever today, and we've all heard these numbers, the majority of our population is disconnected from agriculture, from food production, from where it comes from. And we hear the story about the kids who think that the meat is in the back of the supermarket and somehow magically comes on the shelves, and the milk is made up in the back somehow. So it's even more critical that we help people understand where their food comes from. And more importantly, I would say than that, is the people that are behind producing that food for them. What we see when we make that connection is truly an amazing, eye-opening experience for these end users. And in our case, we might be educating a retailer, a chef. And for many of them, it's the first time they've seen an animal up close. They realize that these are families and people that have similar values to theirs, and they're a lot more excited about the product and comfortable with selling our product after that.
Visit CertifiedAngusBeef.com to learn more or meet Angus ranchers in your area. That's all for this Angus Report. Join us next week when we provide the American Angus Association's latest news and information. Until then, visit our website, Facebook, or Twitter pages for articles, videos, and more information. Thanks for joining us.
I hate to think about going back to the days that prior to what we did use. We had a lot of herd health problems that I think we've taken care of using VitaFirm. We are using VitaFirm on a year-round basis, and we do use it at all stages of our operation, from calving to bull development. It's actually made it more efficient. I think we can run more cow-calf pairs per acre using VitaFirm. Whenever you can promote health, it just makes everything more efficient, and your dollar goes further.